What's up guys, Vez here, and tonight we're unboxing this guy, and we're also going to take a look at that little Vz-HextrudORT all CNC, and we're going to try to answer all of your questions. Let's just do this. So I was so excited when that package got into my place in the mail this week. I can't describe the feeling, but if you are like me and you're a maker and you like to design and build stuff, the feeling of seeing your final product hitting the market or soon to be on the market in its final version, not a prototype anymore, the final version, the final box, it's a feeling that I hope anyone can live one day, because it was crazy. I was emotional. I even cried. It was joyful crying, but it was still crying. So that might be a bit stupid, but hey, I've put so many work on this project that yeah, I was emotional. So we're gonna unbox this together. I'll try to answer all your questions because I've been literally bombarded. My inbox went crazy, and it was announced on AliExpress. And unfortunately, I'm really sorry to have to say that to you, but we're gonna have to delay the release. We're not delaying the Vz-HextrudORT, but we're gonna have to delay the Goliath. We have something to fix. Don't worry, it's nothing technical to the hot end. The hot end works perfectly fine. It's totally good. It's something else that we need to take care of, and that's going to take a little bit more time, but don't worry, it's going to be there very, very soon. So let's just do the unboxing and take a look at that little guy. So what we have here is the water version, but there's also going to be a air-cooled version. So don't worry if you don't like water cooling. We have an air-cooled version. So here it is, the unboxing, and I like the box. I like this little guy here that you can just pull out, and you're going to find your instructions. And just keep in mind that this box is still a beta box. It's not the final box, but it's going to be close. A couple differences, couple words that we have fixed there. Overall, it's going to be the same box. So take a look at what we have here. So this is the unit, and it's well packed. It's tight, but that's what it is. So it comes with the heater. It comes with the silicone sock, and it comes with a PT 1000 screw-on. This is a M3, and it's going to be able to screw on. We're going to have replacement parts in case something goes wrong with this, so don't worry if you break it, we can replace it. And that is the unit. What's else in the box? We have tools. We've included a little wrench here that's going to allow you to screw things on, a nozzle, and the heat brake. And there's also a little connector for the thermistor, if you want to do a thermistor connector. But I think we're going to switch to Microfit 3 because that's more secure. And same thing, we're going to include a Microfit connector for the final release of this hot end. And you also have your hot end, which is right here. Just going to try to pull it out. And it comes with a standard V6 nozzle. It's going to be a brass nozzle, nickel plated. It's still a good nozzle, but feel free to upgrade this guy to something more flowing, like a CHT nozzle or a Buzzle nozzle or whatever nozzle, a something more abrasive resistant. So yeah, that's the hot end. And if we take a look at it, what is it exactly? It's called a hot runner, and this guy here is a hot runner. It's copper, full copper, but it's still nickel plated. It has a 9mm wrench here, wrench socket that you can use to just hold it, but honestly it's currently holding with 3 screws, and it's enough to do a one-hand unscrewing of the nozzle. Of course, you have to heat up the nozzle before you can remove the nozzle. But yeah, that is the water-cooled version. It comes with the questions I get, what kind of coupling these are. And they are M4 threads, and they're good for 4mm OD hoses. So that is the threads or the connectors that the fittings, sorry, that this guy is using. You can also replace them if you don't like those plastic fittings. I have also some that are fully metal, but I prefer this because it's lighter than the metal version. So if you don't like them, you can replace them. If you prefer that to be a straight instead of an elbow, that also is a possibility. In the back here, we have a hole that you can see here. It's an M3 hole. You can use that to connect a thermistor. Just put in a little thermistor to monitor the heatsink. It was meant for, the first design was meant to just have a little screw there that will lock that heat break in place, but the tolerances are so good inside that I don't think it was needed, so I left the hole there just to be able to screw on a connector if needed. So if we take a look at the heat break, if you can see this, it's gonna be using a D-zone heat break from Mello, and that heat break is very awesome. I've been testing and beating that heat break, and it's two material, B material. The first part is copper that you have here, and the throat inside is zirconium or zirconia, or I can't remember the exact English name, but it's a bit like a ceramic material, and it's super abrasive resistant, so that heat break will endure a lot of abrasive carbon fiber stuff or glass fiber. This is meant for abrasive stuff, so it will not wear. It will also not conduct heat up to the heatsink, at least not as much as titanium, not as much as stainless. So that is a very good heat break. It's also very fragile, very brittle, so that's why we have to protect it with 3 little screws. Those are M2 screws, and this is a final unit. However, this is the beta version. So we're gonna replace those with titanium. Those were also ceramic spacers. We are going to replace them with titanium, standoffs. So there's not gonna be those ceramic spacers there, but it's gonna be full titanium. That's still gonna be good enough for that. What else gonna be different from this beta? You see, this is the nichrome wire that is bent around the core, and the final version, which is not this guy here, this is a beta again, it's going to be longer. It's going to have a bit longer protruding wire for helping people to bend it to the shape, to the desired shape, because this is bendable. Obviously, this is how it was wrapped around the core, so you will have to bend it to the desired position. If you want to put it to the right, to the left, or whatever, that is how you're going to do it. It's easily bendable with your hand or with a tool. The only thing that I warn you about is you cannot bend it like 10 times in a row. If you bend it, unbend, bend, unbend, bend, unbend, you're gonna end up by cracking it. See, a little bit like a coat hanger. When you bend it multiple times, it ends up breaking, so it's gonna snap. So you can do it, but don't do it like 10 times. It's not meant for that. So before you install it, just think about how and where you're going to place that hot end. That way you can bend it to the desired position, and it's going to be final. Also, right now it's pointing to the back, but those 3 little screws, if you want to rotate it, it's not an issue. You can also rotate it. Just put it exactly where you want. If you want the thermistor to go on the side instead of in the back, that's also a possibility. There's 3 positions really because of there's 3 screws, so you can rotate that guy to your need. I personally run mine in the back, but on the VZ-Bot, it's also a good thing to let it out on the side, either right or left. So that is it for that. Also, the final unit This is the crimp part of the nichrome wire, and this is a bit too long. So the final release will have about that long. It's going to be 18 millimeter long. So this guy is not bendable. So that's why I prefer to have the smallest possible crimped connection there. So that's going to be better on the official release. So it's going to go out in market for the first 100 units, going to be beta, and we need your help to test it out and give us any feedback on how it's working for you. We've been testing it on my side, but we're not a huge company. We're just happy guys in their basement doing some tests. So we've been testing and beating up that guy. So far it's been great. I mean, I've been only having good result with it, but we need more testers. So it's going to go out on market for beta release, and this is what you're going to get. Smaller nichrome wire here and longer connection here, but the final release will be longer here and smaller here. So that is it. It will also include microfit connector, so you can cut the wire and make your own connection and crimp your own connector, make it to the desired length. Quick note about this nichrome wire. This part here, of course, gonna get hot. It's gonna be a little hot, so what you have to make sure is that what you're gonna bend or place it is gonna be away from plastic. On the VZ-butt, all metal print head is not an issue, but if you're gonna put that on a print head that is plastic, you gotta bend it away from plastic, and you can also insert a silicone sleeve that will cover those wire. We're also thinking about including a silicone sleeve on the package. We're not sure yet, but yeah, you can cover those and give it a bit more protection. Again, on the VZ-butt, it's not needed on the metal print head because it's metal and it's not gonna melt. So that is it for that version. You can, when you install the heat break, obviously it's gonna come how do you say that in English? Sorry guys, assembled. That's the word. So if you want to, you can also put some thermal paste between the heat break and the heat sink. I do not recommend that. I've done it, and when you want to change the heat break, after cooking itself and spending hours and weeks and months inside there, it's gonna stick and it's gonna be really hard to pull that heat break. You're gonna end up damaging that heat break, because if you pull too hard on the heat break, you're gonna separate the two the copper and the ceramic part. So if you end up having issues pulling on this, just push from the top. Use something that fits inside that 4mm hole and push gently on it. It's better than to try to pull it. So push instead of pulling. That way you're gonna save your heat break, because that heat break is totally good. It's just a bit fragile. So that is it for the Goliath. And let me think, is there anything else or any more questions? Yeah. So this is 100 watt of heating. If your 3D printer board is not meant for 100 watt, if the MOSFET internal to your motherboard is not good enough, you can simply install a external MOSFET and drive this guy from an external MOSFET. It's gonna be a 24 volt and it's gonna draw 100 watts. So just make sure you have something appropriate and don't burn your motherboard if you don't use something that is good enough. I personally use the Fly Super 8, and the MOSFET are just good enough for that. I don't have any external MOSFET. So that is it for the the Goliath. I first called it the VZ hot end, then the 3 letters that you knew about, and then this is the final name, Goliath. And the silicone wire, the silicone sock, you have to install it before you screw on that thermistor here, that PT1000, simply because you can see that hole here. And so you install that, and it's good up to 300 C or a bit more, but I'll stay safe and 300. If you want to go higher, just remove that guy and you're good to go, because that thing here, from the manufacturer, they say it's good up to 600. We're gonna go safe and say good for 550, but I don't know who's gonna use that guy for printing that much temperature. I personally will not. I never had to go above 300, and honestly, that was just for testing, because even with super high speed, you don't have to crank up the temperature with that guy. There's enough power and enough melting zone that you don't need this. So that was it. Install that silicone sock. Once you installed it, you can then screw on your thermistor. So that covers that guy, and again, it's going to be delayed a bit, but don't worry, it's going to come out. And now the little Vz extruder. So I'm going to try to make it quick there, but I don't know if you've seen the video from MirageC and the one from Mihai or Mihai Design. Sorry, brother, if I don't pronounce it right, but they both have shown artifacts issues that Extruder running these BMG type of gears are having. And it's not only valid for BMGs, we have that on also on Orbiter, or every gear system that are using set screw to attach a gear to a shaft. And the issue there, at least one of the issue, is the off-centering of that grub gear. And this guy, we have fixed that. There's more things that we've fixed, that we have fixed. So let's get through this. Let's just let me make sure the focus is there, and I'll show you three major things that we fixed with this extruder. So first of all, let me tell you that this is lighter than the printed version that we had, the SLS printed version. It's lighter, so it's good. Some people will always think aluminum is heavier. It is heavier, but if you do it in a way that you can optimize the shape and remove as much material as you can, it's gonna be light. And this one is light. I'll weight it after that with you, but it is light, so that is a good thing. There's still a bit of material we can remove here and there, and I think we're gonna do a bit more here, and that's about it, because the more we do, the higher the price of machining will be, so we have to stop somewhere, and that's probably where we did it. So decision had to be made, and we're kind of happy with the price of that unit. So this is how it looks from the inside. There's a bit more material that could be removed here and there again, but adding more machining time. So we fixed that gear here by machining the gear one piece with the shaft. As you can see, there's no more set screw that you have to screw on to bolt that gear to the shaft. So that gear is 100% center now. That gear now will be also CNC gear, so very good tolerances. It's gonna be no more off center, no more out of spec, so that is also fixed. The next thing that we did to fix artifacts on the print, and it's mentioned in Mihai or Mihai Design, is the biting of the grub gear. This one is a twirl gear. I mean, the teats there are at an angle. So the issue that we had with the filament and the gear biting into the filament at a constant length was causing extrusion artifacts at constant, rate as well, affecting the flow. This is biting the filament at angle. So let's say this is the filament, it bites it like that instead of biting like that. So when it goes out in the hot end, it's gonna follow this, and the artifact will not be as present as if it was biting it at a constant rate, like you can see here on my screwdriver. So with that at an angle, the issue is fixed, and this twirl here has also fixed another issues that MirageC has mentioned in his video, or it's still a theory, but it makes a lot of sense to me, and I think this is plausible and totally believable. So he thinks that with pressure, the filament here will dance and walk on the gear if something is not aligned properly, if there's any issue or whatever the reason, the gear will not stay in the middle of that groove and will slowly like walk on the side, and when you get out of that groove or the middle, it affects the diameter, therefore affecting the flow. So by having a twirl gear on this side and a twirl gear on the other side, like two opposing twirl, like this gear here will push filament a bit like that, and this one going to push it in the back. What's going to happen? Filament will auto center and will not be able to move from the middle. At least that's a theory, and I've tested it and it works super good. The only thing that I was worried about is, will that effect cause a twisting on the filament since it's kind of pushing it that way? But no, friction is so good and it doesn't do that. I've tested it and printed a 4-hour print just to see if it was twisting the filament. It's not happening, so I was really happy. But it does its job at fixing and auto centering that filament. Another quick thing that we fixed on this design is that we have given this guy the possibility, focus is at the right place, anyway, that idler gear now is able to move, so it's going to automatically align itself and nothing will block it from auto aligning itself. So that's going to be a good thing. So far my testing with this guy has been very, very good, and I'm going to show maybe another video in the future about my testing and what I've discovered. But yeah, there's no more wood pattern like Mihai design shown. There's no more artifacts at every like a Z-wobble artifact. There's no more weird extrusion flow moving in the print. Extrusion is very precise and it's very stable, and boy, that gear, twirl gear at an angle here, it has so much more grip than the other type of gear I had before. It's very good in terms of grip, even though we don't need a lot of gripping power, because we don't need a lot of force trying to push that filament in that hot end. If you try to push more than your hot end is able to melt, you're going to create pressure, and pressure is not good. This is where the quality goes to hell, and you end up having a bad print. So we want to stay away from over pressurizing the nozzle. So there's no point of having a ton of pushing power. At least that's my understanding with my test and what I see recently. So that was it for the Vz-HextrudORT and the Goliath, and those two together, it's a awesome combo. I really love the performance. It's just printing so good right now. I'm really happy with that. And the good thing about it, for VZBot owners and for Rat Rig owner, the next thing for this guy is it's going to be the heatsink for the hot end. So we're going to get, in a future, very soon future, we're going to get rid of the heatsink, and the Goliath's going to simply bolt directly like that on the print head, and this guy will be the heatsink. The entire print head is going to be the heatsink because the entire print head is aluminum. There's also going to be a water cooling version of the Vz-HextrudORT for those wanting to go water cooling. So that is also coming soon in 2023. So stay tuned, more is coming, and this is going to be awesome. So on this, folks, I appreciate your time. Sorry, a little longer than I was expecting, but I hope it answers all your questions. If you still have questions, write them down and comment below. I'll be happy to answer. And on this, I wish you all a good night, and we're going to see you again on a new video sometime soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.